Morning at Properties. It's Tuesday, June 30th. Thanks for joining us today as we wrap up the last day of June. I'm Amy Corr, and I'm joined by Kevin Van Eck, who's live out of our Goose Island office. Grab your mug as we jump into a weekly dose of coffee with Amy and Kevin.
Yeah, good morning, Amy. Good morning, everyone. Make sure your coffee's full. Thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to talk with one of our brokers, but before we do that, I just want to remind everyone, make sure you sign up for the hot session we got running tomorrow. It's Generating Move Scores. And that session tomorrow morning at 9:30 Central is all about how to generate your warm list, how to make sure that you're working with the 20% of your database that is going to move over the next 12 months.
Yes, well, I am super excited to welcome Dana Riley this morning. Dana is based out of our St. Joe office in Michigan. As she kicked off 2020, she was focused on having a phenomenal year. Then COVID-19 hit, and Dana recognized that she needed to pivot very quickly and figure out how to adjust to the new business norms in Michigan. We loved that she shared some of her stories with us over coffee with Amy and Kevin, and also participating in Do It Now. So I'm super excited to have Dana here this morning. Welcome, Dana.
Good morning. Thank you, Kevin and Amy, for having me. I'm excited to be here. I watched Jules's tape from last week, and I feel the same that she did. I feel like I'm on my favorite talk show.
I love it. That's awesome. Kevin, we are so popular. We're so cool. So before jumping into real estate, I wanted to recognize the fact that you had a long career in teaching. You were a teacher for about 27 years. And I wanted to ask you, what is one of the myths about being a teacher that many of us may not know?
Teachers do work in the summertime. So just like when it's a slower sales time, maybe in the winter for realtors, you still work. Teachers do the same thing. They take advantage of summertime for continuing ed. They take advantage of working in their classrooms, getting materials prepared. I taught second grade, so I often had a classroom of 26 to 37-year-olds. And as you can imagine, there's not a whole lot of time to prep things then. You can't just say, can you give me a minute? So we do that in the summertime. We do a lot of our prep and a lot of our continuing ed that's required of teachers, just like it is of realtors. It's a little bit more intense for teachers. And then just honing your craft. And, you know, we always find little projects of new ways to organize our classroom because our classrooms kept getting filled with more and more students and less space. So we do work all summer long.
Yeah, thanks for clearing that up. I'm sure a lot of us feel like, you know, everyone gets a 3-month vacation if you're in education.
Not
true,
so
right?
much. No.
So while you were teaching, and I think it was in 2008, while you were teaching, you decided to get into real estate, or at least put one foot in. What prompted that move?
Necessity, and to be honest, HGTV. They made it look so easy to flip a house, and one of my teaching colleagues was very, very handy with construction. I grew up with an aunt and an uncle that were builders, designers, and they always were working on my parents' house, so I learned a lot from them. And my colleague and I were sitting in the teacher's lounge, an HGTV commercial came onto the television, and he looked at me and goes, I think we could do that. Do you want to try and do that? So everybody knows teachers don't make a lot of money. We're not in the classroom in the summer, but we're still working. But we do have more flexible hours in the summer. So we bought our first house and we renovated it and sold it. And at the closing table, I realized, hey, that realtor's taking 3% of my profit. Why don't I become a realtor? So thus another career was born.
I love it. I love it. That's a great story. So real estate is now your full-time focus, and you've moved on from teaching. So tell us what led you to the decision to transition to real estate full-time.
Sure. I've been a realtor and a teacher at the same time for about 10 years. And I was getting busy enough with my real estate career that in order to give 110%, which I was trying to do to both teaching and real estate, I realized something's got to give. And 27 years in teaching is a really long time. I could see some of the changes coming down the road, and philosophically, teaching had changed a lot and didn't necessarily fit in with how I knew students needed to learn. So I made the choice to leave that career. I still am very active in my school district. I'm part of the Lakeshore Excellence Foundation that helps to raise money to fund teacher projects and grants. So I'm still very involved with our school district, but I am now 100% into real estate as my career. It just was time. I got too busy.
Got it. Yeah, I think, any career that we've had in the past translates somehow into real estate. What do you think that translation has been for you? How has 27 years in education helped you or worked in your favor as you moved into real estate?
Sure. That's a great question. Once a teacher, always a teacher, I think. So I take time to educate my clients, just like I was educating my students. I think it's really important that they learn everything they can about the house that they're buying, that they know everything they need to know about the transaction, communicating all of those important steps throughout the process helps to ensure a very smooth transaction. And I bring value to my clients in the education I give them when they are out shopping for a house, going through the process. It's what they say makes me memorable to them. I think I have a unique perspective, having been a flipper. I can really help those first-time homeowners that are looking at a house that's maybe not quite move-in ready. I can give them kind of the vision I see in my mind of what that house could become and where to place their money in renovating, what creates more value to the home. So in that perspective, I think I'm unique because I have that flipping background and I have that education background. So that's kind of how I differentiate myself, but bring my teaching career to the table of real estate.
I love it because ultimately it really is about teaching and guiding everyone, through the process. And I know you talked a little bit about HGTV being the way in which you got the buzz about real estate, and then you got into real estate full time. So tell me, is it different than what you've imagined? I know it seems extremely glamorous. Tell us the truth.
I keep trying to find that couple that can buy a $4 million house and they're about 20 years old and they only want to see 3 properties and then make a choice. And with a phone call, I have the deal all done. It doesn't happen like that in real life. So there is a lot more detail. There is a lot more work that people do not see that a realtor does. And even now with COVID, all these showing releases for every house that we have to see, all of the masks and gloves and booties and hand sanitizers that we have to supply to our clients before we go into a property. There's a lot more. It's not as glamorous. Yesterday I was showing properties and it was really, really hot here. And I had a mask on and gloves and just sweat pouring down my face. So it's not glamorous at all. But it is very detailed. Every transaction is different. You are always learning more about different clients, different homes, different financing creates a different timeline. But it's very relational, real estate. And I didn't expect as much of my teacher people skills to come to play. Sometimes we're a little bit of a therapist, and it's an exciting career. There's never a day that's just like the one before.
So with that, because with all the moving parts, all the people and the relationships involved, we know there are challenges, right? So with that, was there ever a time where you questioned your move into real estate? And, what are some of the challenges or the biggest challenge that you have faced in real estate?
I always was raised to hit challenges head on, jump in, ask the hard questions, do the hard work. You'll be rewarded in the end. So I never felt like it was a decision that I shouldn't have made or wanted to do something different. And I just keep my clients' wishes center. They hired me to help them either, hit a huge milestone and be first-time homeowners or sell their home. And that's the job that they hired me to do. I am very client-centered. I want them to be pleased with what I do for them and be memorable to try and make that transaction as smooth and as positive for them as possible. So I attack those challenges that come up, and there's, everybody has their stories of all of the challenges. Mine are not unique or anything, but I keep in front of me what my client hired me to do. And when we get to that closing table, that's my reward. They're so excited. They reached a milestone, and I had a small part to help that happen. And that's the reward. That's why we do what we do, right? So challenges come there. We always have challenges, and there's a sense of accomplishment when you get them to the closing table, because as a realtor, all of those moving parts and pieces, everything that happened in the background that they didn't have to worry about, that you took care of. And that's what it's about.
It's so true. And I think because it's such an emotional thing for people when they're buying their home, when you get them to the finish line, you feel so accomplished. It's a huge adrenaline rush. And it's actually one of the things I miss in not being able to sell, day to day. So during the shelter in place, we actually heard from you quite a bit during coffee and through Do It Now. I know you participated in that. What are you most proud of that you really accomplished during that kind of 70 days where we were shut down and had to kind of pivot business?
So I came from a real estate company that was a very small boutique agency. There was really just myself and my broker who were active, and we did not have a website. There are still brokerages like that. We did not have any marketing. We didn't have training or coaching or anything available like that. So I took advantage of the shelter in place time to say, hey, I am going to delve into all of the resources that At Properties makes available to their agents, which I feel like I've drank the Kool-Aid when people ask me about my company, because I'm so thrilled with everything that you make available to us. So I am really, really proud that I attended every Do It Now meeting that I could, unless I was out showing a house or meeting with a client. I printed out the actual spreadsheet and cut and taped it together and put it on the wall you see here behind me, just as a motivator. And I think during that time, that for me, being a people person, being shut down in such a small, I don't have a child to keep me entertained here. It's just me and my husband, and we have 2 dogs. They got really tired of walks, and it was nice for me to have that morning routine that you set in place with the Do It Now. It helped to combat some anxiety and a little bit of depression, because I was forced into a routine that was positive. Exercising, writing those letters of gratitude, writing handwritten notes to my clients, reading inspirational things, which I ordered the Ninja selling book. And it just really helped me to focus working in my business. And it was a great opportunity for me to just stay at home and work on reaching out to my sphere, working in my business. So thank you for that program. That was amazing, and I'm very proud that I stuck with it, and I still do that morning routine.
Well, thank you for participating because, as you said, you're seeing the results now, and you will continue to see the results. And so, with that, out of everything let's say everything you've done the first 6 months of this year, and whether it's from Ninja or Do It Now or something else that you picked up, what is the one thing? And there may be more, but what is the one thing that you really want to increase or ramp up or make sure that you continue to do over the next 6 months through the end of the year?
You're right. There are a lot of things. That's a really good question. But knowing that I needed to pick one to focus on, I thought what would have the largest impact on growing my business. And I really liked the information that you gave on the 33 touch points to your sphere of 250. I remember when I first joined and met with Jimmy, my mind was blown. There was so much stuff that he wanted me to do, but one of it was setting up an Excel spreadsheet with my top 250 people that I thought were probably the people that know me, the people that would make referrals, and the people that I wanted to focus in on. So really that's been the one thing that I want to focus in, is making sure I'm touching base with those 250 people at least 33 times, and we'll see what plays out with the numbers. Everything else that I've put into place has been fruitful. It has definitely grown my business. I'm busier than I ever have been, and I can only imagine what will happen when I make all of those touch points with those people. So that's what I'm focusing in on.
I love it. It's so great and really important to focus on your sphere. But I also have noticed from you, Dana, in my interactions with you, that you just have really great energy, and you really just, I think, focus on the positive and look at kind of moving your business forward. So before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you, who or what inspires you both on a personal and a professional level?
It is cliche, but we always say our parents were our inspiration. They were our first teachers. I was a teacher. My mother was a teacher. My father was a dentist, and he was continually learning new techniques. He said it kept his excitement for dentistry positive and moving forward. He focused on cosmetic dentistry and was really sought after for his work in that. And so knowing that in real estate things change so quickly and you're dealing with big ticket items with people's homes, I see the value of education, staying on top of what best practices are, to be able to give to your clients the best information, the cutting edge way of doing things so that you can best serve your clients. That's always been something that came from my parents. So just to keep up on what the new techniques are, what the latest letter of the law that comes out for Michigan is, that's really important. So that's my personal inspiration. My professional inspiration is, when I first came to App Properties, I mentioned I came from a very small boutique agency. When I walked through the doors at App Properties and saw, there were 6 or 8 agents working in the building at the time, and that was not something I was used to. So they were so welcoming and so willing to share information on, I was like, what is the DMS? What is that all about? They walked me through everything. I had never had a professional photographer come in, so they gave me tips on what to do to ensure that that's a smooth appointment. They were just so welcoming. And App Properties, when I talk to people about App Properties, I feel like I've drunk the Kool-Aid, because I'm just so in love with the philosophy of it's family, be different, be memorable. And that's really what all of the agents have done when I stepped foot in the office. They helped me, they treated me like family. And so I would say that my colleagues are inspirational to me.
That's really great. I agree. Every time I go to any office within App Properties, it's inspiring. So it is sort of cliche when we start talking about how we're a family and we're all one team. And I understand that there's a lot of skepticism behind that, but I think we all feel it. So thank you for sharing that. That's very cool. Thank you for joining us too today. We really appreciate it. So thank you, Dana.
Thank you. It was an honor. I was kind of like, why are they asking me? I'm not a big multi-million-dollar seller, but I was happy to be here. So thank you.
It was great.
And
you had a ton to add.
Yeah. Yeah, and make sure, add one word to that. I'm not a multi-million-dollar seller or agent yet. Right?
Yet. Correct. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, so thank you for joining. Another reminder, please register for the Generating Move Score session tomorrow morning at 9:30. And then lastly, just to reiterate Amy's message from Monday and what Dana just shared with us about the morning routine, is that make sure that you are practicing that morning routine in the morning. It's a good way to start the day. And remember what Amy said when it comes to what you get what you give, meaning the energy and what you put out into the world determines what you get back and the way that you interact with the world and those around you. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching today, and hope everyone has a good day.
Bye, everyone. Make it a great Tuesday. We'll see you soon.